Hello and welcome here to Talk FCB and welcome back to the channel here, and we've got more transfer news coming today and slightly more positive news than the past few videos. You know, we've had a bit of a disappointing last few weeks in the transfer window, particularly with our pursuit of Paulinho. A little bit of news on that. Barcelona reportedly made an improved offer to Guangzhou Evergrande of around 27 to 30 million euros, but once again it is being reported that this offer is going to be rejected by the Chinese club before their deadline in the transfer window in just a few days, which could well spell the end of our pursuit for Paulinho. So we're going to have to keep an eye on that one, but possibly positive news there. And certainly some positive news when it comes to our right-back search. It's been very, very quiet now for a number of weeks. The clubs have been potentially doing things behind the scenes, but we were increasingly heavily linked with Nelson Semedo at the start of the transfer window. It was sort of a toss-up between himself and Hector Bellerín. In the last few weeks, we've heard a lot of rumours about Bellerín, about whether Arsenal let him go, whether Barcelona wants him. There was reports about a deal around 45 to 50 million euros being negotiated between the two sides, and it was understood that Bellerín wanted to come to the Camp Nou and was, ready to take a pay cut and things like that to come here. What's being said now is that Ernesto Valverde, of course, new coach of Barcelona this summer, has said to the board he does not want Bellerín. He does not want the club to spend 45, 50 million euros on Bellerín this summer. He says that apart from pace, there isn't a lot that Bellerín can offer this team, which I actually agree with. I think Bellerín is a very, very athletic fullback. He's very, very good suited to the Premier League with his pace, with his physicality going forward. But for us, he's not that great technically. His positioning isn't great, and I agree with Valverde and the fact that, for that amount of money, he doesn't bring an awful lot to the table. The same cannot be said, though, in my opinion, for Nelson Semedo, who I think would be a fantastic signing at right back. We spoke about him earlier on in the summer. Like I say, he was heavily linked, the Benfica right back, with the club. We've seen him now at the Confederations Cup this summer as well, playing for Portugal, and now once again we are being linked with the signing of Nelson Semedo. It came out this morning, Sport with the Purse to report it. They were actually quoting an article from Portugal paper Record that said that basically we were back in for Semedo. The board is setting their sights on him as our right-back signing, and we have made an opening bid of 30 million euros for the right-back. Now, early signs are that's going to be nowhere near enough. I think Benfica will hold out for at least 45 million euros. His release clause is near 50. They've said at the start of the summer they will not let him go for anything under 50 million euros. Man United were also linked with him earlier on in this transfer window, so it does seem like that first offer from us is going to be nowhere near enough. I'm not really sure why we're messing around with the deals that low. Possibly we're just testing the water to see where Benfica are with the deal, but it does look as though we are interested in him once again, and like I say, that is good news. He's 23 years old, he's very, very athletic, he's perfect for us going forward. I've watched him a lot, and particularly in the Confederations Cup, I had a close eye on him. Of course, we were linked, so I was looking at how he sort of played the game, and he's one of those fullbacks, which I'm not going to say the new Dani Alves, I don't like those type of terms, but he does remind me of him in terms of his style. He likes to go forward. His primary focus is always to go on the offensive, to attack. Exactly the same sort of philosophy that we have in our team. And when he does get forward, he does make good decisions. In the final third, you don't want somebody who's trigger happy, that can't make the right decision 9 times out of 10. Semedo's very, very different. He's good on the ball. He's technically very sound. He understands, where he should be, the type of runs that he should make. And that's really important for our right back. You remember the sort of combination play between Lionel Messi and Dani Alves over the years. We certainly missed that last season. And we missed somebody really athletic down that right-hand side. Certainly Semedo could come in that right wing-back role and really excel for me. He's decent going, backwards as well defensively. He's sound. He's, that's not the primary aspect of the game that he likes to play. He does like to be mostly on the offensive, but when he does need to defend, he can do that. And like I say, he did represent Portugal at the Confederations Cup this summer. He's not made a lot of appearances over the years for Portugal. That was just some of his first appearances this summer, but he did have a very, very impressive season last season when playing for Benfica. He played throughout their league campaign. They had a good season, and he was certainly at the heart of that with his performances from right back, and that is why Benfica are going to be reluctant to sell him. They sold a few players this summer already. Ederson has gone to Manchester City, so they're not going to be letting their players go cheaply. If we want Semedo, we're going to have to pay for him. So interesting that Sport came out this morning linking us with them, and also just recently Cat Radio, which is a very, very reliable source for from very local to Barcelona in the news. They have confirmed the reports that we are interested and going to place that €30 million bid for Semedo. So very, very interesting to hear that we're back on the radar. What I would say though is, why do we spend so much time wasting our time on Bellerín? You know, at the start of the window, you should be outlining your targets. Valverde was brought in, he was appointed. You know, we knew that weeks and weeks ago. Why did he not sit down then with Roberto Fernandez and say, look, these are my targets? The board should have been communicating with Valverde. The board should have understood exactly what he wants. It seems like they were already set on going for Bellerín, and now it's turned out that's not actually what Valverde wants. And like I say, I think that's the right decision not to go for him. But that should have been known weeks ago, because we could have been working on Semedo for all this time. You know, the last few weeks we could have been working on a deal. We could have been in the advanced stages now of negotiations. Instead, it's nearly the start of pre-season for us. You know, the players came back to training for tests today, and instead we're starting our opening bid right now. So certainly Semedo is going to take a little bit of time. We're going to negotiate this deal now. I expect Benfica to come back and say that's nowhere near enough. Then a second offer from us I would expect to be significantly more than €30 million. Then we'll see what happens, because, you know, then you've got to agree personal terms, you've got to discuss with the player, you've got to get him over for the medical. So these things take time, and I just wonder why we've left it so late, why we spend so much time pursuing a player that really the coach didn't really want in Hector Bellerín. Arsenal all summer have said they had no interest in selling him. So it's just interesting to see why we spent so much time on that player instead of going for Semedo right from the off and getting the deal done as soon as possible, because then he could have come back into pre-season training in a week or two, once he's on his holiday following the Confederations Cup, and he could have linked up with his new team and his new teammates, and he could have got to understand the way and the style of Barcelona much more quickly than if he signed in a few weeks' time. You know, then he'd be coming into pre-season late, he might be behind in his preparations, his future would have been up in the air. We could have got this done, and we could have advanced these negotiations a lot sooner, and I think that's all to do with planning, and that's what we've spoken about this board. Often enough, the planning isn't quite good enough. The preparation this summer has not been good enough. We're starting everything a few weeks behind. We've signed Deulofeu. We seem to be out of the race to sign Verratti, although I still feel something could happen on that, but of course nothing confirmed over the last few days. We've signed Vitinho, the youngster I mentioned, who'll be signing for Barcelona B. He came in from Brazil. He's also taken his medicals at the club, and the signing for him has gone through. And like I say, the players are back today. They were going through their medical examinations. A lot of the players have come back into the team. There's a few that's a little bit late, the players who took part in the Confederations Cup. But the likes of Alex Vidal, is really great to see him back, you know, working on his fitness. He actually cut his holidays a few days short to come back, prepare with the squad, and make sure that he was in the best condition possible going into this season. So he certainly wanted to make his mark. Also very, very interesting, Marlon, when he was listed on the club's website as taking part in pre-season training, they listed him as a first-team player, which would be very, very interesting, because that would mean that Ernesto Valverde had chosen to promote him to the first team this season, which is interesting. You know, Marlon did play a part towards the end of last season under Luis Enrique, and certainly this season going forward, I think he could play a part in the team. You know, Machi's gone to Sporting, he's left on a free transfer, so certainly there is an opportunity to play Marlon throughout this season, and he could well be given that chance if he gets promoted from Barcelona B, which is expected. Another thing as well, Sergi Samper has been going through his paces. He's going to be in pre-season trying to prove himself to Ernesto Valverde. He came out in an interview today saying that he wants to try and earn his place at Barcelona. He wants this chance. And like I say earlier at the start of the video, it does seem now like hopefully we're not going to be signing Paulinho. That second bid from us, that improved bid, has still been rejected by Guangzhou Evergrande. They are absolutely adamant that unless we meet his release clause, which is €40 million, they are not going to let the player go. So let's hope they continue that stance. I believe the Chinese deadline is on Friday, so I'm not really sure what will happen beyond that, but hopefully we can keep it tight. We can stick now and say, look, we're not getting him. Hopefully they keep up that stance. They're not selling their player. Paulinho wants to come. He even said that he'd take a pay cut to join the club. Of course he would. The chance to play for Barcelona when at the moment he's playing his trade in the Chinese Super League. But for now it seems like he's not going to be joining the club. So all in all, a very, very interesting day in terms of news. Semedo is apparently on our radar again. We're going to make a 30 million bid to Benfica. Although we expect that to be rejected, we are very interested in signing him and will then return with a better offer once Benfica name their price, possibly. Paulinho could well be off the radar. Our second bid has been rejected by Guangzhou. Marlon could be promoted to the first team. Samper is starting pre-season and is trying to prove himself to Valverde. And we have completed the signing of youngster Vitinho coming in from Brazil, and he will play next season with Barcelona B. So leave me your thoughts down below, guys. Any questions, anything at all, any video suggestions, please let me know down below. I'm always interested to hear your thoughts, your opinions. I really appreciate all the comments. It's really, really good to see so many people interacting on the channel. That's fantastic. I'll see you very, very soon. But until next time, as always, Visca El Barça.